And Pat Freiermuth last year, 47 receptions, 47 targets, 32 receptions, 308 yards, and 2 touchdowns in an injury-shortened season. Thoughts on Pat Freiermuth?
Last year was such a weird year for him with the injury in the middle of the season, the Kenny Pickett kind of challenges that they had. But Arthur Smith, for all the things he didn't do, did show he knows how to use tight ends, right? Like, yes, we were frustrated with Kyle Pitts and Jonnu Smith both being in Atlanta last year, but I mean, you combine the two guys and they had like 104 grabs and 6 touchdowns. Like, that's something to look forward to for Pat Freiermuth, right? Arthur Smith's offense does help focus in on that. We saw that with uh was it Jonnu in Tennessee
Mm-hmm.
with Arthur Smith, right? And him kind of having solid fantasy performances, I guess, if you will. So I like the guy. Like, he's not afraid to, stick his nose in there and be one of the Pittsburgh Blue Bloods on the line. But like I said earlier, he also doesn't have to be the inline tight end because they have Darnell Washington. So he is going to be able to get out in routes a little bit. I think it's going to be beneficial Pittsburgh Steelers because outside of George Pickens, you have Roman Wilson, the rookie out of Michigan, but then Denzel Mims, Marquez Callaway, Calvin Austin, Van Jefferson, like, there's not a whole lot there. So there's going to be targets to go around. And I think Pat's going to see his fair share of them. So, if he's to remain healthy, I could see, receiving totals that maybe are a little bit closer to his rookie year, right? Somewhere around 80, 85 targets. If you can get 65, 68 grabs, something like that, 500 plus yards, and again, touchdowns. Pat is a guy that is absolutely worth targeting at tight end 16, figuring you're going to have some built-in upside. If he can get up to tight end, 9, 8, 10, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, this is a guy that has a lot of built-in kind of upside there, right? And it's one of those that this is a guy that is a kind of a smart risk, so to speak, right? Like, we kind of knocked on that Russell Wilson and using tight ends and all of that at the beginning of the show, but there is something to be said about the Arthur Smith offense that you illustrated earlier. Like, last year, more than a third of all pass attempts went to a tight end in Atlanta, right? Like, that is a heavy volume. And I think we'll see something similar to that here in Pittsburgh as well. So when you're taking Pat Freiermuth with the 16th tight end off the board, I think you've got the built-in, kind of that built-in, baked-in upside that we could very well see him, even if the touchdowns don't come, we could see him still get to a volume play type of tight end to get into back end tight end 1 territory there.